Oh my God.
Are you sure about this?
I have to know.
Christopher, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
How are you, sir? Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you as well. I'm good.
This must be your busy time of year, right? As a parapsychologist and anomalist.
It is indeed busier than usual, yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me today to talk about, we have paranormal activity, next of kin. Now, do you do consulting for television shows and for movies?
Yes, I'm often brought in to help the writers and producers, even directors, either depict phenomena or if they're looking to make it as authentic as possible, how people respond or react to it. Also, sometimes they want a new perspective in dealing with it, and a lot of the phenomena I do encounter, they redefine what people's expectations are. There's a lot of fallacies regarding different types of phenomena, so that also gives them extra fodder for the narrative they're trying to create.
And can you share with us your very first paranormal encounter? Because obviously you've made a career of this. So can you tell us where it all began that made you a believer and decided, you know what, I want to make a career of this?
Well, actually, it wasn't my intention. I wanted to stop doing this many times. It more or less found me in a way. But I think, to begin with, my background is in magic and illusion as a magician illusionist. And it was when I started studying parapsychology that began to explore these people's experiences and all types of psi phenomena, and hauntings and poltergeist being one of them. That kind of led to a whole variety of experiences people are having. And then I was trained as an anomalist, and that was to explore these phenomena very scientifically around the world. I think the thing we should point out is, a good 70 to 80% of these cases do have rational explanations. They're psychological, physiological, environmental in some capacity. Only about 20 to 30% are this reoccurring phenomena we just can't explain. That's still a lot. And those phenomena, if they're occurring, often defy the laws of nature and physics, which is why we can't, sort of understand what they are.
And it is Halloween. So do you see an uptick in paranormal activity around this time of year, or is that just a misconception?
It's mostly a misconception. I think, the issue is that it becomes on the forefront of things because people are aware of the subject matter. So there's more discussion of it, so they become more aware of it. An interesting sort of anecdote to the pandemic is that people's lifestyles were uprooted and changed. So places that are usually packed 24/7 with people suddenly became empty. And a home, which is usually only occupied half of the time, was now occupied all the time. So what we got was this huge upsurge of reports of unusual phenomena because of the fact that environments where people usually aren't paying attention to, now they're paying attention to them. And either the noise pollution was a factor, was gone, and unusual things were being documented, or people are at home and encountering things that they can't explain more. So that was part of the upsurge that's happened. But for the most part, these phenomena are happening day in, day out.
I think it's more fun to think that, spirits are more active on Halloween, so.
Of course. Well, there is some ancient mythology and occult aspects that do gravitate toward that. If there are ways in different times of the year, depending on the belief system, where, especially during Halloween being one of them, that it is said that you can't interface with these spirits as they enter our world more. But that's, again, we're drifting into more of a supernatural occult aspect of certain belief systems you have to follow in order to gravitate toward those.
In your opinion, what is the most haunted city in the world? I was in Dublin one time and I took the Haunted Dublin tour, and they claimed to be the most haunted city in the world. After that tour, I was convinced. But in your experiences, what do you think is the most haunted city in America or in the world?
There are many cities that claim to be the most haunted cities in the world. It's actually a very difficult thing to isolate because, first of all, you have to understand the definition that they're trying to say regarding hauntings. A lot of haunting phenomena is subjective, and that is in parapsychology, there's two types of hauntings. There's objective and subjective. Objective means it's in the environment. You could take pictures of the phenomena when it happens. Anybody can experience it. Subjective means it's almost happening telepathically. You can't record it, you can't document it, but you experience it. And people are trying to chase after those with cameras. You'll never be able to get a picture or document it. So as far as subjective goes, it's riddled throughout those kind of experiences around the world. And one of the problems we have as parapsychologists is people are going there expecting it with an expectation that's the most haunted. So are they having these experiences because they're expecting them, or is this really a phenomenon that's manifesting? Basically, every city has a huge amount, and it fluctuates, if not daily, yearly. There's no one city that has more phenomena than anywhere else in the world.
Well, I'm Generation X, so I grew up as a little boy watching In Search of, I was watching The Amazing World of Psychic Phenomenon, Uri Geller. How do you deal with skeptics in your profession?
Well, skepticism is a very healthy thing. They should, first of all, the whole skeptical concept is more of a belief system, in my take of it, because the first thing you have to keep in mind is a good 70 to 80% of all cases that are reported do have rational explanations. They're found to be psychological, physiological, environmental, circumstantial. Only about 20 to 30% of recurring phenomena are those cases that are unexplainable. That defy the laws of nature and physics. And that's a small percentage, or depending on how you look at it, it's a large percentage. But when you bring in a belief system, something, you can also affect your dynamic of how you perceive it. There's something called confirmation bias, that if you go into a location with a certain expectation, it's going to affect how you see it. And there was some experimentation done with a university in Canada where they had this room that says it was the most haunted room, and they put people in who were told this, and they didn't know the room was rigged with special effects. And each person who went into the room, they didn't see any special effects, but they walked out saying they heard voices and saw ghosts and all these things because they walked in with that expectation. Then they put in one skeptic at a time who had no belief in ghosts, and they let off all the special effects. And this was actually a little bit more interesting because the people came out saying, I didn't see that light move. I didn't hear the sounds. I didn't see any of these things happen. And what happened is the confirmation bias created this cognitive bias where or cognitive blindness, I should say, where their belief system affected them so they couldn't see the window move or the light go off and on. And it actually affects how you perceive things. So as far as an anomalous goes, it's very important to approach these phenomena with an objectivity, not with an expectation or a belief system in mind. Believing in it up front can be a bad thing. So sometimes it's very important to go in with an objective perspective.
Well, Christopher, thanks for joining me today. Such a fascinating discussion. I could talk to you all day. Just in time for Halloween. I think the most haunted house in America is the Winchester Mansion. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I love that place.
Yes, it's fascinating.
Thanks so much, Christopher. And let's talk again soon, man. I enjoyed our talk.
Absolutely. Happy Halloween.